You're now listening to the smooth sounds of Rick and Thaddeus music.
Well, I'm gonna break down to the most minute part, so that it can forever be broke. The 12 tribes chart.
Boom, boom, boom.
Right? some of the doctrine that was introduced when a lot of us first came into the truth. If you came in dealing with the people on like YouTube and that, and especially if you deal with like Facebook, of course, this is doctrine that's been widely accepted throughout all of the Israelites here in the United States, right? That the 12 tribes of Israel are broken down, in the different peoples that are on these different land masses, and that the Native Americans are the tribe of Gad, and that the American Negro is the tribe of Judah, and so on and so forth. We all familiar with that? Are we all familiar? Are there any in here that believe that that's accurate? No? Nobody believes it's accurate? You're different? You're indifferent? Okay. So, this lesson should enlighten us all as to the accuracy or inaccuracy of that particular understanding of the breakdown of the 12 tribes and who they are as a people today. Right? Are we all familiar with it? Yeah? Okay. Anybody not familiar with it? Not familiar? Okay.
Good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing. But if you just take your phone and just Google 12 tribes chart, right? And you're going to come up most likely with a chart. And it's going to say, for all the 12 tribes of Israel, Judah, Benjamin, Naphtali, Zebulun, and it's going to tell you who that they are today. And so this breakdown is going to be a breakdown of the inaccuracy of that understanding, as well as where it came from. You don't deal with that. Yeah. Where the understanding actually came from, and really, we probably gonna touch on the how detrimental it really is to us as a people. So, without further ado,
12 tribe chart. Like you said, when we come into this thing, this chart is one of the first things that's given to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, immediately, this is like one of the first things that I learned. I watched the video on, somebody gave me a DVD on the 12 tribe chart.
Same DVD.
Yep.
I've probably seen the
same thing. As soon as I came in, that's what I was bombarded with, that and the name of the Most High. So when you're going through it, when you're looking at it, we don't understand when we first come in about precepts or whatnot. So you just listen at the guy and they just pretty much talking. Read a scripture and then talk it for you, right? So it sounds like it's good, but common sense kicks in and it'd be like, well, if he had all of these wives, and how could this be? And my wife used to always ask, Jacob had 4 black wives, right? And he black. Well, how only 2 of the tribes black now? And I couldn't answer this, and I always would say, well, they're cake unturned. This is speckled bird, because that's what they told us. You know what I'm saying? But she was always saying, like, that don't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? And so we just went with it for a long time. But it's like, then you start looking at videos, right? And you see the hate groups on the street. And they only would be dissing the quote-unquote black woman. The nigga woman, you this, that, and the third, you this, that, and the third. It was like, wow. Not saying it ain't happened, but I never seen none of those groups diss the quote-unquote Northern Kingdom women. I never seen that. It was always the quote-unquote dark-skinned ones that they was on the streets dogging and putting down. Mm-hmm. And then somebody sent me a video about a year and a half ago, and it showed one of the more popular groups out here showed me a video of their wives. And all of their wives, except for like 2 of them, was quote unquote Northern Kingdom women. Then, about a year, I'm debating on the phone with one of these guys from one of the popular camps. And he said, brother, we just gonna agree to disagree. Just like most brothers think that the black woman is the most beautiful woman in the world. I don't agree. I think that the Northern Kingdom women are far better looking than the the black woman. I'm saying, as they say it. You know what I'm saying?
They look like light skin.
Yeah, they very light.
With the wavy hair.
So I'm starting to weigh this stuff out and look at it like, it's something here. So this take us all the way back to being like when we was younger, right? Anybody in here, when you was younger, you wanted good hair, so to speak? Right? Right? I know it wasn't just me, right? So they came, right? So they came with a Jerry curl, so you can get good hair. You know what I'm saying? It seems like this stuff is so juvenile, but people actually still on this thing. They like, when I have my children, I wanted to be with this kind of person so my kids can have good hair. You know what I'm saying? It seemed like, man, come on, all right, that's straight up. And you know, if you was back in them times, the sisters, they didn't too much like you if you didn't have good hair and all of this kind of stuff. So it's really like a self-hate type of thing that's going on. And a lot of people, because they have made these choices in their life, they don't want to let this stuff go and accept what these scriptures is actually saying. So let's get this first script. First off, they can't prove this stuff without all of these outside books. If you watch these chart videos, it's going to be, I have another book. I have another book. I have another book. I have another book. Just a whole bunch of books to prove it because they can't prove it with the book. Let's get Ecclesiastes 12 and 12. They can't prove it with the book. They'll say that I'm causing division and I'm splitting Israel up and all this stuff. Couldn't be further from the truth. I don't care who you marry or do it. It don't matter to me. It ain't me. Ecclesiastes 12 and 12.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 12. And further, by these, my son, be admonished, the making of many books.
Of doing what?
Of making many books.
Of making many books.
There is no end.
There is what?
There is no end.
There is no end. I'm telling you, you watch some of these videos, you're going to see they got to use a whole gang of books, a whole bunch of outside books in order to make this thing seem like it's the truth. Finish that out.
And much study is weariness of the flesh.
And a much study is a weariness to the flesh. All right. Let's get me Ezra. Ezra chapter 2 and verse 1.
The book of Ezra, chapter 2 and verse 1. Now these are the children of Israel. Now these are the children of the province that went up out of the captivity of those which had been carried away, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away unto Babylon.
So right here, this is the genealogy. This is the children of Israel coming out of captivity from Babylon under Nebuchadnezzar. Jump down to verse 61. So it's giving you a whole line of genealogy.
Verse 61. And the children of the priests, the children of Habiah, the children of Kos, the children of Barzillai, which took a wife of the daughters of Barzillai, the Gileadite, and was called after their name. These sought their register among those that were reckoned by genealogy.
They sought what?
Their register.
They sought their register. So this is a thing. This is a register. This is compiled of all the names. If you are a priest, or if you come from the tribe of Levi, read.
These sought their register among those that were reckoned by genealogy.
By what?
By genealogy.
By genealogy, read.
But they were not found.
But they were what?
But they were not found.
But they were not found, read.
Therefore were they as polluted put from the priesthood.
So these people, they couldn't find that they were the priest's children, so they had to get put out of the priesthood. Now this is after 70 years of being in captivity. And these people couldn't prove that they was from the tribe of Levi. Therefore, they were put out of the priesthood. Now, how in the world can we be removed from our land for over 2,000 years, come along now and point out and say, you Levi, when they couldn't do it after 70 years? Does that make any sense?
No.
So where's our register at? That we can come along and say, yep, I knew it, I'm right there. I told you I was Judah. You can't do it because we don't have this stuff. We don't have no record. The curses show you who you are, but it don't pinpoint and say that you from this tribe or you from this tribe. And that's the lie right there. The chart focuses completely on the Western Hemisphere. It says that everybody is on this side of the world. When again, right here is showing you after 70 years of captivity, they couldn't find out who they were right then. So again, after 2,000 years, we can come along and say, yep, you from Levi. I can tell. But this stuff came from a dream. This would make this stuff hypocrisy. Just make people hypocrites. Because every year when Martin Luther King birthday come up and Black History Month come up, they get on Martin Luther King. Oh, you're a false prophet. Y'all following a dream. Let's go there. Y'all following a dream doctrine. Jeremiah 23 and 25. Jeremiah chapter 23, pick it up at 25.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 23 and verse 25. I have heard what the prophet said.
I did what?
I have heard what the prophet said.
I heard what the prophet said. Go ahead.
That prophesy lies in my name.
That prophesy lies in my name. So they say, this talking about Martin Luther King. Y'all following the dream doctrine. Read.
Saying, I have dreamed. I have dreamed.
See? Martin Luther King. I have dreamed. I have dreamed. Read.
How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophesy lies? Yea, they are prophets of the deceit of their own heart.
So these are prophets of the deceit of their own heart. Notice it's plural right here. But this doctrine, along with the Esau the white man, along with America, Babylon, all these doctrines really came from one person, and he had a dream of this stuff. So if you're going to get on Martin Luther King, then you should get on this person as well. Let's get Ecclesiastes in the APOC, chapter 34. Because this is where it originally came from. Ecclesiastes 34, pick it up at verse 1.
The book of Sirach, chapter 34 and verse 1. The hopes of a man void of understanding are vain and false. And dreams lift up fools.
Do what?
Dreams lift up fools.
Dreams lift up fools. Read.
Whoso regards dreams is like him that catches at a shadow.
So you trying to catch a shadow. Impossible. But it says dreams lift up fools. Now, I didn't write this. So they can't say I'm calling nobody no fool. Read it again.
Whoso regards dreams is like him that catches at a shadow.
So if you regard these dreams just like him that's trying to catch a shadow, it's impossible. So again, if you're going to get on Martin Luther King about this dream, then you should be getting at this person. So all the time when we was getting at the pastors, the Sunday pastors, nobody had no problem with it. As soon as it started saying, wait a minute, these Israelite dudes is teaching lies as well. Now everybody got a problem with it. Because you hypocrites. You hypocrites. But you want to rock with a lie. And that's exactly what it is, a lie. So the chart focuses on what side of the world again?
Western Hemisphere.
The Western Hemisphere. All right. Get me James 1:1. Get me James 1:1.
The book of James, chapter 1 and verse 1. James, a servant of Yahuwah and of the Master, Yahushua Hamashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad.
Which are scattered where?
Which are scattered abroad.
Wait a minute, to the Western Hemisphere.
Which are scattered abroad.
This right here, say the chart is a lie right here, right? Lesson over with. Let's go home. Because this right here say scattered abroad. It don't say to know America and just over here in Brazil and all of that. Read it again.
James, a servant of Yahuwah and of the Master, Yahushua Hamashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad.
To the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. This means it's not no one place. It's all over. Abroad means all over. Let's get Deuteronomy 27. Deuteronomy 27:1.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 27 and verse 1.
Because these are continuous chapters. Go ahead.
And Moses, with the elders of Israel, commanded the people.
Commanded who?
Commanded the people.
Commanded the people. This meaning all of them. Not just the tribe of Judah or the southern kingdom. He talking to everybody. Read.
Saying, keep all the commandments which I command you this day.
Keep all the commandments which I command you this day. Deuteronomy 28 and 32. Let's go into some of the curses.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 32. Your sons and your daughters shall be given unto another people, and your eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in your hands.
We know that this happened to the quote-unquote black man. Read.
The fruit of your land and your labor shall a nation which you know not eat up.
We've known Esau all our lives. This can't be him. Read.
And you shall be only oppressed and crushed always.
Go ahead, jump down to verse 37.
Verse 37. And you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword.
You said become what?
A proverb, and you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations where Yahuwah shall drive you.
So he said you're going to be a proverb, byword, everywhere that the Most High leave you. What's the byword for the quote-unquote black man that we call all over the world?
Negro.
What is it?
Negro. With an ER.
Now, let me ask you something. What's the byword for quote-unquote Native Americans? Is there something else? So, yeah. But we know on the other side of the world, what they call them that?
Nope.
But we know that thing with us is worldwide. Anywhere we go, this label is put on us.
Absolutely.
Jump down to verse 64.
Verse 64. And Yahuwah shall scatter you among all people.
Where at?
Among all people.
On the Western Hemisphere.
Among all people.
He said he gonna scatter you among all people. Not just one side of the world. Go ahead.
From the one end of the earth, even until the other.
So he made it clear where I'm talking about. From one side of the earth to the other. Go ahead.
And there shall you serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone. And among these nations shall you find no ease, neither shall the sole of your foot have rest.
So he letting you know, wherever you go, you ain't gonna have no rest. You're gonna be hated and you're gonna be crushed always. So, have y'all ever seen any Native Americans talking about free? Yeah, one of the free Geronimo or something.
Free my man Geronimo. Free Bobo.
Right? Have y'all seen that? So, but we know that this stuff is definitely happening to a specific people. It's definitely happened. So this whole chart came about from using Genesis chapter 49 and 2nd Esdras. So the whole thing came about using these two chapters of the book. So let's go there. Genesis chapter 49. Matter of fact, let's pick it up to Genesis 35 first. Pull that chart up. Genesis 35 and verse 23.
Book of Genesis chapter 35 and verse 23. And the sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and Simeon, and Levi, and Judah, and Issachar, and Zebulun.
And Zebulun. Oh, right there. Read that. So, according to that chart, it says the sons of Leah were Reuben. Who did the chart say Reuben is?
Reuben is the Seminole Indians.
So, Reuben is the Seminole Indians. And it says Simeon is who?
The Dominicans.
Simeon is the Dominicans. And it says Levi. Who is Levi?
Haitians.
Haitians. And it says Judah.
The so-called American Negro.
So the so-called American Negro. And Issachar.
Mexicans.
Issachar is the quote-unquote Mexicans. And Zebulun.
Zebulon. Guatemala to Panama.
Guatemala to Panama. Now, you will note that all of these have the same mother and father. The sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, Simeon, and Levi, Judah, and Issachar, and Zebulun. So according to this chart, out of all these, they have the same mother and father. Only two of these tribes are quote-unquote black people or Negroes. So right here, just off common sense, does this make any sense?
Absolutely not.
Just off common sense, this makes absolutely no sense. Pick it up at verse 24.
Verse 24. And the sons of Rachel, Joseph and Benjamin.
Joseph and Benjamin. We know Benjamin is quote unquote a part of the southern kingdom. Read.
Verse 25. And the sons of Bilhah, Rachel's handmaid, Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, Gad, and Asher. These are the sons of Jacob, which were born to him in Padan Aram.
So all black women with the black man, but according to the chart, only 2 of these tribes are black. Again, does that make any sense to you? Don't make none to me either. Let's get Genesis 49. Let's go there. Genesis 49 and 1.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse 1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days.
What days?
In the last days.
In the last days. He said, what shall befall you in the last days? Does he say that this where you're going to be at in the last days?
Not at all.
Now we need scripture to interpret scripture with everything. So he says, what shall befall you in the last days? Oh, what you got right here, give me Hebrews chapter 1. So when you see the term last days, it automatically registers in our mind that you're talking about the end times, or like what we believe we're in right now, last days. But let's see what this really means according to script, the book. Hebrews 1 and 1.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 1 and verse 1. The Most High, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in times past unto the fathers by the prophets,
Go ahead.
have in these last days.
In what?
In these last days.
In these last days. Read.
Spoken unto us by his Son.
So right here, he's talking about some last days, and this is when Hamashiach just left. And he calling that the last days. But we know that that was what? Like 2,000 years ago, right? So when he's saying last days, he's talking about a specific time period of something. So when Jacob is saying the last days over here, he don't mean where we at right now. He talking about a time frame. Let's go back. Genesis 49. And let's pick it up at verse 2.
Genesis 49 and 2. Gather yourselves together and hear, you sons of Jacob, and listen unto Israel your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn.
So Reuben is the firstborn. Read.
My might and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity and excellency of power. Unstable as water.
He what?
Unstable as water.
So right here he tells us in the beginning that Reuben, you the firstborn, my might, the beginning of my strength. He talking good about him. Excellency of dignity and the excellency of power. Now it's about to switch. Read verse 4.
Verse 4. Unstable as water.
He says he's unstable as water. Read.
You shall not excel, because you went up to your father's bed and defiled you it. He went up to my couch.
So he went up to his father's couch. So it says that he's unstable as water. Let's see what makes Reuben unstable. All what we got right here, we coming right back. Let's get Genesis 35 and 22.
Can you give us a place?
Yes, according to what you just read, where is Reuben located?
You can't find that out.
Exactly.
On the water.
You see it? So, according to what we just read, can we find Reuben right here? No, right? Genesis 35 and 22. Let's see what makes Reuben unstable as water.
Genesis chapter 35 and verse 22. And it came to pass, when Israel dwelt in that land, that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's
He
concubine.
did what?
He went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine.
So Reuben then went and slept with one of his brother's mother, his father's wife or concubine. That's a despicable act, right? That's awful. So Reuben then went and done this. Now let's get Genesis 37 and 22. Because it says that he's unstable as water.
Genesis chapter 37 and verse 22. And Reuben,
Matter of fact, pick it up at verse 19.
verse 19. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer comes.
This who?
This dreamer comes.
So this is talking about Joseph right here. They say, behold, here come this dude with all this dreaming. Go ahead.
Come now, therefore, and let us slay him.
Do what?
Let us slay him,
Now this is them plotting to kill Joseph. Read.
and cast him into some pit, and we will say some evil beast hath devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams.
Let's see what's going to become of his dreams. Think he better than somebody because he having these little dreams. Go ahead.
And Reuben heard it.
And who heard it?
And Reuben heard it.
And Reuben heard it. Now remember what Reuben already did, right? He went and slept with his father's concubine. Awful thing, right? Read.
And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands.
So Reuben trying to stop this. Don't do this. This is despicable. Do not do this, bro. Go ahead.
And said, let us not kill him.
Let us what?
Let us not kill him.
So Reuben is trying to save Joseph. Read.
And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again.
So Reuben again right here is trying to actually save him. Jump over to verse 29.
Verse 29. And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes.
So when he go back to get Reuben out, get Joseph out the pit, he's sick because he not there. He actually just tried to do a good thing to reverse the wickedness that he already done. Read.
Verse 30. And he returned unto his brethren, and said, the child is not, and I, whither shall I go? And they came to Joseph's coat, and killed a kid of the goats.
And good right there. So right here, he trying to reverse this wickedness. So this is showing his unstableness. Let's get Numbers 16 and verse 1. Numbers 16 and verse 1.
The book of Numbers, chapter 16 and verse 1. Now Korah, the son of Izhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan, and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Pelet, sons of Reuben.
Sons of who?
Sons of Reuben.
So now we got the sons of Reuben. Read.
Took men, and they rose up before Moses, and with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown.
So right here, Reuben is behind the plot to get rid of Moses. Now we know that just because Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses, what the Most High was doing to them, they right here conspiring to get rid of Moses altogether. So you see the up and down with Reuben, right? Sleep with his father's wife, then come around to try to save Joseph. Then they turn around and they trying to get rid of Moses. This is what makes him unstable as water. This is why Moses said this. Even though they was plotting to get rid of him, let's see what Moses do. Let's get Deuteronomy 33 and verse 6.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33, and verse 6. Let Reuben live and not die, and let not his men be few.
So it says, let Reuben live and not die. Same way where they were speaking against him all in different times, Moses still turned around and pray for him. Don't kill him. I know they despise me and hate me, but don't do it. Blot me out of your book. Same thing, even though they were still trying to get at him. Let's go back to Genesis 49. So that's why Reuben is called unstable as water. Pick it up at verse 5. Let's get Simeon and Levi.
Verse 5, Genesis 49 and 5. Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are their habitations.
So it says Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitation. According to them with this chart, they say that this is voodoo. Right? So I put up a post the other day and asked everybody to show me Simeon and Levi engaging in voodoo. It's about 300 to 400 comments. Nobody can show it to me. Because it doesn't exist. Read that next verse.
O my soul, come not you into their secret, unto their assembly. My honor, be not you united. For in their anger,
what?
They slew a man.
So this is a past tense. This ain't something, this is not futuristic or prophetic right here. It says, in their anger, they slew a man. This is something that they've already done. Read.
And in their self-will, they dig down a wall.
So in their self-will, they dig down a wall. But it says that instruments of cruelty. All right, let's see, according to the book, was it voodoo or what was the instrument of cruelty? Let's get Genesis. Hold this. Genesis 34 and verse 24.
The book of Genesis, chapter 34 and verse 24. And unto Hamor, and unto Shechem, his son, listened all that went out of the gate of his city. And every male was circumcised, and all that went out of the gate of his city.
So keep that in mind. All the men were circumcised. This means these men are sore. Read.
And it came to pass on the third day.
What day?
On the third day.
Go ahead.
When they were sore and had two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi.
Who was it?
Simeon and Levi.
Simeon and Levi are brethren. Read.
Dinah's brethren took each man his sword.
Took each man his what?
Took each man his sword.
His voodoo.
His sword.
His what?
His sword.
His sword. Read.
And came upon the city boldly and slew all the males.
So the instruments of cruelty, according to the scripture, is what? A sword. This don't say nothing about no voodoo. It's telling you what it is. And it just let you know they had a secret plot. We're going to circumcise these guys, and when they saw, they ain't going to be able to fight back. Came on the city and slew all of them. That was the secret right there, the plot. This has nothing to do with no voodoo. That's why you can't find nowhere in this book that you see them doing quote-unquote voodoo like we've been taught. Read, finish that out. 27.
And verse 27. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and spoiled the city because they had defiled their sister.
So they had this prince had them went into their sister and defiled her. This is why they were so angry. All right. So we see that this was spoken in the past tense because it already had took place. Let's go back to Genesis 49 and pick it up at verse 7.
Verse 7. Cursed be their anger.
What be their anger?
Cursed be their anger.
Cursed be their anger. Read.
For it was fierce, and their wrath.
So this ain't a prophetic thing. It says, cursed be their anger, for it was, not it will be, but it was fierce because they already did what it's talking about. Read.
And their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel.
Now this is the futuristic part of it right here. It says, I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. So he letting you know, I'm going to divide these two right here. So wherever the tribes are at, Simeon and Levi should be there, right?
Exactly.
So how can you pick it out and say Simeon and Levi is on this island when it told us right here that I'm going to spread them out throughout both of them? Let's get Deuteronomy 18:1. Deuteronomy 18:1.
Deuteronomy chapter 18 and verse 1. And the priests, the Levites, and all the tribe of Levi shall have no part.
So what?
Shall have no part.
Go ahead.
Nor inheritance with Israel.
So the priests, they didn't have no inheritance. So the priests were scattered throughout all the tribes. Right? The priests was scattered throughout all the tribes. But it told us he's going to scatter both of them. All right? Let's get Joshua 21 and 41.
The book of Joshua, chapter 21 and verse 41. All the cities of the Levites within the possession of the children of Israel were 48 cities, and with their suburbs.
So right here, all the cities of the Levites was in the possession of the children of Israel because they are scattered throughout it. They didn't have no one particular place where they was at. Everywhere the children of Israel was at, it was some Levites there because they had to do the minister office. Let's get Joshua chapter 19 and verse 1.
Joshua 19 and 1. And the second lot came forth to Simeon, even the tribe of the children of Simeon, according to their families, and their inheritance was within the inheritance of the children of Judah.
See that? So the Simeon, his inheritance was right with the children of Judah, within the borders wherever Judah was at. Simeon was right there with them. All right, let's drop down to verse 9.
Verse 9. Out of the portion of the children of Judah was the inheritance of the children of Simeon. For the part of the children of Judah was too much for them.
So Judah had too much land. Read.
Therefore, the children of Simeon had their inheritance within the inheritance of them.
So it's showing you right here, along with some of the Levites that was there with them, Simeon was also right with them as well. So now we connected to the southern kingdom with Judah. Let's get 2 Chronicles 34 and verse 6. Exactly. Second Chronicles 34 and verse 6. So we got to tie him in to the northern kingdom. Second Chronicles 34 and verse 6.
The book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 34 and verse 6. And so did he in the cities of Manasseh and Ephraim.
So these are quote unquote northern kingdoms right here. Read that from the top again.
And so did he in the cities of Manasseh and Ephraim.
Pick it up at verse 5.
Verse 5. And he burnt the bones of the priests upon their altars and cleansed Judah and Jerusalem.
Go ahead.
And so did he in the cities of Manasseh and Ephraim and Simeon, and even unto Naphtali, with their mattocks round about.
Round about. So now we got him connected to the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. Right here. So it's just like he said, I'm going to spread them throughout Israel and Jacob. We see that this has already taken place. This ain't some future thing. It already has happened. All right. Let's go back. Genesis 49 and verse 8. Notice we're only in the Bible.
Well, you ain't got that book you paid $1,000 for, right?
Right. We're only in the Bible. Because it says through the precepts we get understanding. Not through Ronald Sanders' book that cost $1,500 that they made it so expensive because they don't want you to get this truth. If that's the case, then why ain't this one
Exactly.
$2,000 that I can't get it? The logic
Checkmate.
don't make no sense.
Checkmate.
Back to Genesis 49, and let's pick it up at verse 8.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse 8. Judah, you are he whom your brethren shall praise.
So it says, Judah is the one his brethren shall praise. Now we know that this has got like a twofold thing that's going on right here. It's talking about Hamashiach, of course, but it's talking about somebody else at the same time. Read.
Your hand shall be in the neck of your
So it
enemies.
says the hand shall be in the neck of the enemies. But let's pick up Judah's line. The one that his brethren shall praise. Hold that. Let's get 1 Samuel 18. 1 Samuel chapter 18 and verse 5.
1 Samuel 18 and 5. And David went out wheresoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely. And Saul set him over the men of war.
Over the men of who?
Over the men of war.
Go ahead.
And he was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants.
Go ahead.
And it came to pass, as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistines, that the women came out of all this, that the women came out of all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing, to meet Saul with tabrets and with joy and with instruments of music. And the women answered one another as they played and said, Saul hath slain his
So
thousands,
Saul had slain his thousands, right?
and David his 10,000.
Oh man, so Saul is supposed to be the big dog right here, but he only killed thousands, and David 10,000. How y'all think Saul feel about this? He ain't like this, but he ain't like that at all. Let's go back to Genesis 49. Pick it up at verse 8 again.
Genesis 49 and 8. Judah, you are he whom your brethren shall
So
praise.
Judah is the one whom his brethren shall praise. Go ahead.
Your hand shall be in the neck of your enemies.
So the hand shall be in the neck of the enemies. So we just saw it said that David killed thousands, right? 10,000. My bad. 10,000. Not that's Saul. Let's hold that. Let's get Psalms 18 and verse 40. As it says right here, that is, his hand shall be in the neck of the enemies. Psalms 18 and 40.
The book of Psalms, chapter 18 and verse 40.
So this is David speaking about himself and the future king. Simultaneous. Read.
You have also given me the necks of mine enemies.
He gave him what?
The necks of my
He
enemies.
gave him the necks of the enemies, because it just told us right over here, Judah, thou art him whom thy brethren shall praise. Thy hand shall be in the neck of thine enemies. Let's go back. 2 Samuel. In fact, yeah. 2 Samuel 5 and 1.
The book of 2 Samuel, chapter 5 and verse 1. Then came all the tribes of Israel to David unto Hebron, and spake, saying, Behold, we are your bone and your flesh. Also, in time past, when Saul was king over us, you were he that led out and brought in Israel. And the Lord and Yahuwah said to you, You shall feed my people Israel, and you shall be a captain over Israel. So all the elders of Israel came to the king to Hebron, and King David made a league with them in Hebron before Yahuwah, and they anointed David king over Israel.
So right here, he is the one whom our brethren shall praise. So they giving David this royal treatment, which really is a picture of what that's going to happen with the Messiah in the future. Let's go back to Genesis 49. Notice, again, we only in this book. And the precepts is showing what this is actually talking about. Genesis 49 and verse 9.
Genesis chapter 49 and verse 9. Judah is a lion's whelp. For the prey, from the prey, my son, you are gone up. He stooped down, and he couches as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rise him up? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet.
So it says, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet. Now we know that the scepter left from the northern kingdom because they went off. Read.
Until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be.
Unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Hold that. Let's get 2 Chronicles 21 and 7.
Second Chronicles
21 and 7.
chapter 21 and verse 7. Howbeit, Yahuwah would not destroy the house of David because of the covenant that he made with David, and he promised to give a light to him and to his sons forever.
For how long?
Forever.
Forever. So this don't happen until Shiloh come, or the coming of Shiloh. Let's get Ezekiel. Remember it said the gathering of the people. Ezekiel chapter 20 and verse 33.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 20 and verse 33. As I live, saith the Master Yahuwah, surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you. And I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of the countries wherein you are scattered.
Because unto him shall the gathering of the people be. Read.
With a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people. And there I will plead with you face to face.
Oh, yeah?
Like I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt. So will I plead with you, saith Yahuwah Elohim. And I will cause you to pass under the rod. And I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. And I will purge you out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me, and I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and you shall know I am Yahuwah.
So we know that David didn't do this part right here. The gathering of the people is talking about the Messiah directly. Let's go back. Genesis 49. And pick it up at verse 12.
Verse 12. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk.
So it says, his eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Now, we just finished the whole thing up about Judah right here. Does this give you any indication where Judah is located at? It don't? Okay. All right, hold that. Get Revelations 1 and 14. So it says, his eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Revelations 1 and 14, and we're coming right back over here.
The book of Revelations, chapter 1 and verse 14. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire.
So we got that. We know that this is talking about Hamashiach. It's coming right back. Pick it up at Genesis 49 and verse 13. Let's get Zebulon. So y'all agree, all of this right here, it didn't give us any indication as to where Judah was located, right? All right.
Genesis 49 and verse 13. Zebulon shall dwell at the haven of the sea.
Of the sea. Pull that chart back up again for me, y'all. So it says, Zebulon shall dwell at the haven of the sea. Go ahead.
And he shall be for a haven of ships.
So Zebulon, where he's at, there's going to be plenty of water. Who do they say Zebulon is at?
Guatemala to Panama.
So Zebulon is going to be from Guatemala to Panama. Read that again. Get your definition.
Zebulon shall dwell at the haven of the sea, and he shall be for a haven of ships, and his border shall be unto Zidon.
So according to this, where will his borders be at? To Zidon. So now we finna look up something and see where this is at. Genesis 49:13. It says Zidon, right? But this chart says Guatemala to Panama, right? Where's the Zidon at?
Let me get this one right here.
Yeah.
It says the Mediterranean, an ancient Phoenician city on Mediterranean coast north of Tyre.
North of where?
Of Tyre.
So that's where is this at? In the Middle East. Right around where Israel is at. But this chart clearly says that this is talking about Panama and Guatemala. This is the only one that actually gives you a location. Now, how do you mess that up? How do you mess that up when it actually gave you the place?
Mazarites inserted Zidon there.
Unto Zidon.
That was inserted.
But it says that a haven of ships, right? So they just looked at the map and said, oh yeah, Panama got plenty of water. A whole bunch of ships in there. But it actually told you where it's at.
Panama Canal.
Let's get Joshua 19 and 10. Joshua 19 and 10. It says that he's going to be around water. Joshua 19 and 10.
The book of Joshua, chapter 19 and verse 10. And the third lot came up for the children of Zebulun.
Who?
Up for the children of Zebulun.
That's who we talking about. Zebulun, go ahead.
According to their families. And the border of their inheritance was unto Sarid.
Go ahead.
And their border went up toward the sea.
Towards where?
Toward the sea.
Because it says that he's going to be for a haven of ships. So now it's showing you that his borders is by some water. Read.
And Maralah, and reached to Dabashit.
Woo. Go ahead.
And reached to the river that is before Jokneam.
It reached to the what?
The river that is before Jokneam.
So it's got this river, just like, so we got the sea and the river showing you that they are by water, just like he prophesied. Go ahead.
And turn from Sarid eastward toward the sun rising unto the border of Chislot Tabor, and then goes out to Dabarak, and goes up to Japhia, and from there pass along to the east to Gitah Hefer, and Etan Kazim, and goes out to Ramon Mithor and Niyah.
Jump on down to 16. We'll get you off the hook.
Verse 16. And this is the inheritance of the children of Zebulun, according to their families, these cities with their villages.
So it showed us right here, this has been fulfilled because Zebulun was for the haven of the sea. It gave us the river and
Palestine,
the sea.
for all of them. It was Palestine for all of them.
Exactly. So it's showing you exactly where this stuff is at. Now, let's see that the Messiah come to Zidon. Let's get Mark 7.
Every single last one of them places was Palestine.
Hey, when you find it, bro, say it.
I got you.
Mark 7 and 24.
That's crazy.
So let's see. Mark 7 and 24.
The book of Mark, chapter 7 and verse 24. And from there he arose and went into the borders of Tyre and Zidon.
Wow. Wait a minute. So the Messiah came to Guatemala. Wow.
And entered into an house, and would have no man known it, but he could not be hid.
Jump down to verse 31.
Verse 31. And again, departing from the coast of Tyre,
From the coast of where?
of Tyre
From the coast of Tyre. Go ahead.
and Zidon, and he came unto the sea of Galilee, through the midst of the coast of Decapolis.
So right here, the Messiah then came to Panama and Guatemala. Wow. So it's showing you exactly where this is located at. So I don't know how in the world they came up with Guatemala and Panama. Go ahead.
After we were, when the Messiah came, we were already dispersed, correct?
Some of us were. All right. Let's go back to Genesis 49. Genesis 49 and verse 14.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49 and verse 14. Issachar is a strong donkey, couching down between two burdens.
So Issachar is a strong donkey couching down between two burdens. So they say, well, you know that this is the Mexicans because they the ones who work hard. And they got the donkey on the flag and all this kind of stuff, right? Let's get matter of fact, keep reading. Verse 15.
And he saw the rest was good.
He saw that rest.
That rest was good. And the land that it was pleasant. And bowed his shoulder to bear. And became a servant unto tribute.
So right here, he says, and he saw that rest was good. Who's going to actually bring us rest? Mashiach, right? That's what Noah brought after the flood. His name means rest or comfort. And it says, and the land that was pleasant, and he bowed his shoulders to bear. Did Mashiach ever bow his shoulders to something? And it says, and became a servant unto tribute. Let's find out. Let's get 1 Chronicles 12 and 32. So they used this to say when they was coming to America on the boats, because Issachar understood the stars and the moon. That's how he navigated his way to get to America. All right, so you got if you're not Issachar, then you won't never get the feast days right unless he's within your gates.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
How did the Messiah and all of them do the feast days with Issachar not being there?
Exactly.
If Issachar is the only one that can tell the feast days by the days, how in the world was the Messiah and all of those that were in Jerusalem at his time, how were they keeping the feast days if they weren't there? It don't make sense, man.
Exactly. Pick it up, read. Verse 32.
1 Chronicles 12 and 32. And the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do. The heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their command. Were at their commandment.
So right here it says, it's talking about they had understanding of the stars and the moon and all of this stuff. So that they used this to say that this is how they knew how to navigate and get to America on the boats. All right, but I'm gonna go back and read this Issachar again from verse 15. It says, and he saw that rest was good, and the land that it was pleasant, and he bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant unto tribute. So it says, verse 14, Issachar is a strong donkey, couching down between two burdens. Let's show how this pertains to a Mashiach. Let's get Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 6. Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6.
Isaiah 9 and 6. For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder.
Beware?
Upon his shoulder.
So the government shall be upon his shoulders. It just told us that Issachar was the strong guy crouching down between two burdens, and he bowed his shoulder. Finish that out.
And his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty Power, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace.
So this is one thing on his shoulder, the government. Let's get Ezekiel chapter 12 and verse 6. Ezekiel 12 and 6.
Ezekiel chapter 12 and verse 6. In their sight shall you bear it upon your shoulders.
Do what?
In your sight shall you bear it upon your shoulders.
So in your sight shall you bear it upon your shoulders. Go ahead.
And carry it forth in the twilight.
Go ahead.
You shall cover your face.
They blindfolded the Messiah. Go ahead.
And you shall not see the ground, for I have set you for a sign unto the house of Israel.
Read that again.
For I have set you for a sign unto the house of Israel.
So I've set you for a sign for the house of Israel. This was showing you a picture of the Messiah with the government on his shoulders, the two burdens, and the stake or the cross. Let's go back to Genesis 49. Let's get Dan. They don't even make up something and say Dan is nowhere. They just say he don't exist no more. Genesis 49 and 16.
Genesis chapter 49 and verse 16. Dan shall judge his people.
Hold on, let me stop right there one more time. Hold on, I'm gonna read this thing with Issachar one more time. And he saw that rest was good, and the land that was pleasant, and bowed his shoulders to bear, and became a servant unto tribute. Now it picks up at Dan. According to that, does this tell us anywhere where Issachar is at? No indication, right? Okay. Now pick it up at Dan.
Verse 16. Dan shall judge his people.
He shall do what?
Judge his people.
So Dan shall judge his people. Let's see. Did Dan do this? Hold what you got. Let's get Judges chapter 13. Judges 13. And pick it up at verse 1.
Judges chapter 13 and verse 1. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years.
How long?
40 years.
40 years. 40 years in the desert. Messiah 40 years fasting. Moses 40 days. Go ahead.
And there was a certain man of Zorah, of the family of the Danites.
Of the family of who?
Of the Danites.
Of the Danites. Read.
Whose name was Manoah. And his wife was barren and bare not.
Go ahead.
And the messenger of Yahuwah appeared unto the woman, and said unto her, Behold, now are you barren, and bear not, but you shall conceive and bear a son.
Go ahead.
Now therefore beware, I pray you, and drink not wine, nor strong drink, and eat not of any unclean thing. For lo, you shall conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come upon his head. For the child shall be a Nazarite.
He shall be what?
A Nazarite.
A Nazarite. Anybody know who this is talking about? Samson, right? Jump down to verse 24.
Verse 24. And the woman bare a son, and called his name Samson.
Call him who?
Samson.
Go ahead.
And the child grew, and Yahuwah blessed him. And the spirit of Yahuwah began to move him at times in the camp of Dan.
In the camp of who?
In the camp of Dan.
Go ahead.
Between Zorah and Eshtaol.
Okay. Let's get Judges chapter 15 and verse 20.
Judges 15 and 20. And he judged Israel.
He did what?
And he judged Israel.
Because it told us over here at Genesis 49 that Dan shall judge his people. Read that again.
And he judged Israel.
And he did what?
And he judged Israel.
How long?
In the days of the Philistines, 20 years.
So Dan already judged his people in the form of Samson. Not some future thing, because again, Dan means to judge. Messiah is the ultimate judge. That's going to do this. All right? Let's go back to Genesis 49. And pick it up at verse 16. Pick it up at a serpent by the way. Go ahead.
An adder in the pass that bites the horse's heels, so that his rider shall fall backwards.
So that his rider what?
Shall fall backwards.
So it says Dan shall be a serpent. Let's see how. Let's get Judges 18 and 1. Judges 18 and 1.
The book of Judges, chapter 18 and verse 1. In those days, there was no king in Israel. And in those days, the tribe of the Danites.
Of who?
The tribe of the Danites.
Go ahead.
Sought them an inheritance to dwell in. For unto that day, all their inheritance had not fallen unto them among the tribes of Israel. And the children of Dan sent of their family 5 men from their coast, men of valor, from Zorah and from Eshtaol, to spy out the land and to search it. And they said unto them, Go, search the land. Who when they came to Mount Ephraim, to the house of Micah, they lodged there.
To the house of who?
Micah, they lodged there.
All right, jump down to verse 27.
Verse 27. And they took the things which Micah had made, and the priests which he had, and came to Laish, unto a people that were quiet and secure, and they smote them with the edge of the sword, and burned the city with fire.
Go ahead.
And there was no deliverer, because it was far from Zidon.
Far from where?
From Zidon.
From Panama, Guatemala.
From Zidon.
Go ahead.
And they had no business with any man. And it was in the valley that lies by Beit Rahab. And they built a city and dwelled therein. And they called the name of the city Dan, after the name of Dan their father, who was born unto Israel. Howbeit the name of the city was Laish at the first. And the children of Dan set up graven images.
They did what?
Set up graven
They
images.
set up graven images, directly breaking the commandments. This is what makes them a serpent. Go ahead.
And Jonathan, the son of Gershom, the son of Manasseh, he and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of the captivity of the land. And they set them up Micah's graven images, which he made all the time that the house of the Most High was in Shiloh.
So this is what makes Dan that serpent, by the way, because he set up these graven images. He had a great thing to do. They was the judges in Israel, and they led the people to idolatry. Let's go back to Genesis 49. Genesis chapter 49. Now we're going to pick it up at verse 18.
Genesis 49 and 18.
Still talking about Dan.
I have waited for your salvation, O Yahuwah.
So according to this, does this show us anywhere that Dan is at? No, right? All right. Read the next verse. Verse 19.
Verse 19. Gad, a troop shall overcome him,
So it says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him. Go ahead.
but he shall overcome at the last.
So it only give us one verse with Gad. According to this, where is Gad? We don't know, right? All right. Let's break this down. So it says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him. What is a troop? Army, right? Was Columbus an army? He was an explorer.
Cavalry.
All right. Let's get 1 Chronicles chapter 5. So it says, Gad, a troop shall overcome him. 1 Chronicles 5. And we're going to pick it up at verse 10.
1 Chronicles 5 and 10. And in the days of Saul, they made war with the Hagarites.
With the who?
With the Hagarites.
So this is them having a war with the Hagarites. Read.
Who fell by their hand, and they dwelt in their tents. throughout all the east land of Gilead. And the children of Gad dwelt over against them in the land of Bashan, unto Salcah, Joel the chief, and Shepham the next, and Jaanan and Saphat in Bashan.
Jump down to verse 18. I ain't gonna do you like that.
Verse 18, the sons of Reuben, and the Gadites, and half of the tribe of Manasseh.
Hold on, who is this? Who those are again? Read that again.
Verse 18, the sons of Reuben, and the Gadites.
And the Gadites, read.
And half the tribe of Manasseh, of valiant men able to bear buckler and sword, and to shoot with the bow, and skillful in war, were 44,760 that went out to war. And they made war with the Hagarites, with Jetur, and Nephish, and Nodab, and they were helped against them. And the Hagarites were delivered into their hand, and all that were with them. And they cried to the Most High in battle, and he was entreated of them, because they put their trust in him.
Because they did what?
They put their trust in him.
But right here, they winning because they put their trust in him. Now jump down to verse 25.
Verse 25. And they transgressed.
They did what?
And they transgressed.
They transgressed, meaning they broke the commandments. Read.
Against the Most High of their fathers, and went a whoring after the gods of the people of the land, whom the Most High destroyed before them.
Go ahead.
And the power of Israel stirred up the spirit of Pul, king of Assyria, and the spirit of Tiglath Pilneser, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Gadites, and the half of the tribe of Manasseh. And he brought them to Halah, and Habor, and Harah, and to the river Gozan unto this day.
So this is when they were actually, the troop overcame them, because they fell in sin. While they was doing right, the Most High was with them, and he delivered them. But right here, this is when the troop overcame them. Let's go back. Genesis 49. And read that verse again.
Genesis 49 and verse 19. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last.
But he shall what?
But he shall overcome at the last.
So he shall overcome at the last. Let's see how this pertains to Hamashiach. Go ahead, I'll get this one. Get Hosea 6 and 9. You can get it. Hosea 6 and 9.
The book of Hosea, chapter 6 and verse 9. And as troops of robbers.
As who?
As troops of robbers.
As troops of robbers. Go ahead.
Wait for a man.
They do what?
Wait for a man.
As troops of robbers wait for a man. Notice it says they wait for a man. Read.
So the company of priests.
Company of who?
The company of priests.
It says the company of priests. I want y'all to keep that in mind. It says, as troops of robbers wait for a man, so the company of priests. Go ahead.
So the company of priests murder in the way by consent.
By what?
By consent.
Murder in the way by consent. All right. Let's get Matthew 26 and 45.
The book of Matthew, chapter 26 and verse 45. Then comes he to his disciples and said unto them, Sleep on now, and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners.
Into the hands of who?
Of sinners. Rise, let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that does betray me.
He is at hand that does betray me. Go ahead.
And while he yet spake, lo, Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great multitude with swords.
Who came?
With him, Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great
A
multitude.
great multitude with what?
With swords and staves from the chief priests.
From the who?
From the chief priests and elders of the people.
So right here is showing us the fulfillment of what Hosea was talking about over here. But it says, but they like men have transgressed. Hold on, let me get that exact verse.
6 and 9.
6 and 9. And as a troop of robbers wait for a man, so the company of priests murder in the way by consent, for they commit lewdness. Read me that verse one more time, Mark.
And while he yet spake, Judas, one of the 12, came, with him a great multitude with swords and staves, from the priests, from the chief priests and elders of the people.
Go ahead.
Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, whomever I shall kiss, that same is he. Hold him fast.
So right here, this is them priests that was plotting and came with that troop and got him. Now we know how he overcame at the last, because he got up.
Right.
He rose. All right, let's go back to Genesis 49. Almost finished with these. Genesis 49. And pick it up at verse 20.
Verse 20. Out of Asher his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties.
So right here, Asher only got one verse. So does this show us where Asher is at? Nope, it don't show us, right? All right. So it says he's going to yield royal dainties. This means this is some good food. Get Deuteronomy 33 and 24. Deuteronomy 33 and verse 24.
Deuteronomy 33 and 24. And of Asher he said, let Asher be blessed with children. Let him be acceptable to his brethren, and let him dip his foot in oil.
In what?
In oil.
So it's showing you Asher was in a rich land. He had great in a rich possession. Talking about dipping his foot in oil. That means like the fat of the land. But they don't give us too much with Asher. But we see this in Luke. Let's get Luke 2 and 36. Luke 2 and 36.
The book of Luke, chapter 2, and verse 36.
Hold on. Pull that chart back up again. All right. Read that.
Verse 36. And there was one, Anna, a prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel, of the tribe of Asher.
From the tribe of who?
Of Asher. She was of a great age, and had lived with an husband 7 years from her virginity. And she was a widow of about 84 years, which departed not from the temple, but served the Most High with fasting and prayers night and day. And she, coming in that instant, gave thanks likewise unto Yahuwah, and spake of him to all of them that looked for redemption in Jerusalem.
And where?
In Jerusalem.
So we got a woman from Asher still in where?
Jerusalem.
In Jerusalem. So according to them, where's the Asher?
Colombia to Uruguay.
Colombia to Uruguay. But we got one of them right here, still in the land, in the temple on the daily. Don't even depart. And she know who she is. Let's go back. Genesis 49. Genesis 49, let's pick it up at verse 21.
Verse 21. Naphtali is a hind let loose.
He what?
He is a hind let loose.
So Naphtali is a hind let loose. Go ahead.
He gives goodly words.
He do what?
He gives goodly words.
So this is, he got one verse. Naphtali is a hind let loose. He gives goodly words. Not too much on him as well. But according to this one verse, does it show us where he's at?
Hawaii.
He's in Hawaii?
Yeah, Hawaii. He gotta be. He give goodly words.
He gives goodly words. He say aloha.
That's the only thing that can mean.
Right. So according to this, it don't tell us where he's at, but it tells us he gives us goodly words. All right. Verse 22.
Verse 22. Joseph is a fruitful bough, even a fruitful bough by a well, whose branches run over the wall.
So it's letting us know that Joseph would have a lot of children. They say, well, that let you know that they're Puerto Ricans because there'd be a whole bunch of them in the car packed up.
The logic behind this stuff.
All logic don't, you know what I'm saying? And if you go off that, it'll actually sound good and tricky. But when you go off the precept, you see it don't make no sense. All right, read that again.
Joseph is a fruitful bough, even a fruitful bough by a well, whose branches run over the wall.
Whose branches run over the wall. Go ahead.
The archers have sorely grieved him.
So the archers have did what?
Sorely grieved
So
him.
the archers have sorely grieved him. Matter of fact, stop right there. Hold that. Let's get Numbers 27 and 1.
Did Ephraim and Manasseh have the same name? Did Ephraim and Manasseh have the same name?
The same mama.
They gotta go back and look at that as well. To say Puerto Rican and Cuban.
So who is Joseph supposed to be? Or Ephraim and Manasseh?
Ephraim and Manasseh is supposed to be the Puerto Ricans for Ephraim, and for Manasseh is Cubans.
Okay.
Genesis 49 and verse 23. The archers have sorely grieved him.
The what?
The archers have sorely grieved
Now
him.
we're speaking in the past tense. The archers have sorely grieved him. This is about who? Joseph, right? Go ahead.
And shot at him. And hated him.
And did what?
And hated him.
Did these things happen with Joseph? Did somebody shoot at him and hate him? Go ahead.
But his bow abode in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty power of Jacob. From there is the shepherd, the stone of Israel.
So it's talking about Joseph and Messiah at the same time. Go ahead.
Even by the power of your father, who shall help you, and by the Almighty, who shall bless you with blessings of Shamaim above, blessings of the deep that lies under blessings of the breast and of the womb. The blessings of your father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors, unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brothers.
That was what?
That was separate from his brothers.
That was separate from his brothers. This has already taken place. So we finished with Joseph now. According to this, where is Joseph? They don't tell us, right? Oh. Right, he's right there. So according to this, Joseph is in the audience with us right now. All right, let's get this last one. Genesis 49:27. Benjamin. That is how they say it. Benjamin. Go ahead.
Verse 27. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf.
So they say Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. And this is his music. Because you know that the Jamaicans, they, oh, right?
Like Bob Marley.
Exactly like Bob Marley.
They tell you they Judah.
Right. So in Jamaica, they got the lion on the flag, right? So they tell you themselves that they come from Judah. But the people over here then made up a chart and say, no, you're not from Judah. You are Benjamin. And you shall raven as a wolf when you do your music.
Raven don't need to be high.
What does raven mean?
Like prey, like hunt.
Exactly. It means to devour because they were a warlike tribe. Has nothing to do with no music. All right. So again, they use Genesis 49 to justify where the people went. And they say through this, but we read every one of them. And according to this, only one person showed where they actually gave us a landmass, and that was Zebulun. It said his borders shall be unto Zidon, and they said that was Panama to Guatemala, right? But nobody else. And they also use second Esdras. Let's go there. Second Esdras, chapter 13 and verse 40. Second Esdras chapter 13 and verse 40. Go ahead.
Second Esdras 13 and 40. Those are the 10 tribes.
How many tribes?
The 10 tribes.
Those are the 10 tribes. Go ahead.
Which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters.
Carried them over the waters. Read.
And so came they into another land.
They came into another land. Read.
But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
They would do what?
Leave the multitude of the heathen.
So they leaving the multitude of the heathens. Read.
And go forth into a further country.
Into where?
A further country.
They go into a further country. Go ahead.
where never mankind dwelt.
Where never mankind dwelt. Now, for some reason, our mind jumps us all the way to this time and says, well, America is the only place that nobody was at. But if you got understanding, when you go back and read Genesis 11, it'll let you know that people been on this side of the world, just not in every place. Go ahead.
That they might keep their own statutes.
So they plan on leaving the heathens so they could do what?
That they might keep their statutes.
So they trying to go so they can keep the commandments. Go ahead.
Which they never kept in their own land.
Which they never kept in their own lands. Go ahead.
And they entered into the Euphrates.
They did what?
Entered into the Euphrates.
They entered into the Euphrates. Now, automatically, some kind of way, our mind says it's got to be boats here. Because it says they entered into the Euphrates. Plus, the elders put this in our head. Because this is what they said. They entered into the Euphrates. They went into the Euphrates. And then they went down around the Horn of Africa. And they entered into the Indian Ocean. And then they came up. And that's where Issachar come in. Because he understood the navigation of the sun, moon, and the stars. And that's how he guided them there. It don't say none of that. That's all adding. Pick that verse up from 43 again.
Verse 43. And they entered into the Euphrates
into the Euphrates by what?
By the narrow passages of the river.
By the narrow passages of the river. What's a passage? Pathway, right? So it says the narrow passages of the river. Go ahead.
For the Most High then showed signs for them and held still the flood.
He did what?
And held still the flood.
So he held still the flood. Go ahead.
Till they were passed over.
Until they were passed over. Now, he says he held still the flood until they were passed over. Let's see, can we find in Scripture the children of Israel going through a river? All what we got right here, we coming back, and let's get Genesis 31. Genesis 31 and 17. Genesis 31 and 17.
Genesis chapter 31 and verse 17. Then Yaakov rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels.
Upon what?
Upon camels.
So they are riding camels. Read.
And he carried away all his cattle and all his goods which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting, which he had gotten in Padan Aram.
So remember, Jacob got all, they riding camels, and he got all of his livestock with him. Keep that in mind. He riding camels, and he got all of his livestock with him. Go ahead.
Which he had gotten in Padan Aram, for to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. And Laban went to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images that were her father's. And Jacob stole away unawares to Laban the Syrian, in that he told him not that he fled. So he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river.
He did what?
Rose up and passed over the river.
So it's showing us right here that Jacob, they was riding camels, and they had all of their livestock. They didn't get on no boats, and they did what through the river?
And passed over the river.
So it's showing you that they actually walked through a river. They didn't get on no boats. They didn't put the livestock and the cattle and the camels and stuff on a boat. They actually walked through a river. Let's further show this. Let's get Joshua chapter 2 and verse 7. Get your definition for this. Joshua 2 and 7.
The book of Joshua, chapter 2 and verse 7. And the men pursued after them the way to Jordan unto the fords. And as soon as they which pursued after them were gone out, they shut the gate.
So it says, and the men pursued after them the way to Jordan unto the fords. Look that fords up for me.
It says ford, a passing.
A what?
A passing. And it says crossing place.
A what?
A crossing place.
A crossing place, because it said they entered into the narrow passages of the Euphrates. So it's a crossing place. You go to the shallow part of it and you can walk through it. You don't need a boat to get through it.
Crossing place of a river.
The what?
A crossing place of a river.
Crossing place of a river. Let's get Judges 3 and 28. Judges 3 and 28.
The book of Judges, chapter 3 and verse 28. And he said unto them, follow after me, for Yahuwah have delivered your enemies, the Moabites, into your hand. And they went down after him and took the fords.
Took where?
Took the fords of Jordan.
Took the fords of Jordan, the Jordan River. They went to the crossing place of the Jordan River. Go ahead.
Toward Moab, and suffered not a man to pass over.
To pass over. So it's showing you right here
In the script.
in the scripture that they walked through a river. They didn't need no boats in order to do it. But they put this in our mind that when you see the Euphrates, they had to have boats. They never give you an explanation where they get the boats from, who made them, where they came from.
There's a lot of boats too. All them people.
Yeah, a lot of boats. But let's get something. It showed us that the Most High held still the flood. Let's get Genesis chapter 11 and verse 10. Get the definition for this out. Genesis 11 and 10.
Genesis 11 and 10. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Arphaxad 2 years after the flood.
After what?
After the flood.
After the flood. Look that flood up for me.
It says flood, a deluge, sense of flowing, a flood.
A what?
A sense of flowing.
A flood. So that's the Hebrew word H399. All right. Let's get Joshua 24 and 1. I'm going to need you to get this one. Joshua 24 and 1.
The book of Joshua, chapter 24 and verse 1. And Joshua gathered all the tribes of Israel to Shechem, and called for the elders of Israel, and for their heads, and for their judges, and for their officers. And they presented themselves before the Most High. And Joshua said unto all the people, thus saith Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel, your fathers dwelt on the other side of the flood.
On what?
On the other side of the flood.
So he said their fathers dwelt on the other side of the flood. Look that flood up.
This is the H5104. It says a stream.
A what?
A stream, including the sea, especially the Nile and Euphrates.
And what?
And Euphrates.
And Euphrates. So it says he held still the flood, the river. If you in a boat, you wouldn't be worried about a flood. Anyway, you would. Exactly. You wouldn't want it to be held still, because if it's held still, then the boat will be stuck in mud. So it don't make no sense. go back to second Esdras and pick it up.
Goodness gracious. So that's 1 plus 2.
Too easy. Second Esdras 13
Good.
and pick it up at verse 45.
Second Esdras 13 and 45.
Matter of fact, 44 again.
44. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood.
Did what?
And held still the flood.
He held still the river. Read.
Till they were passed over.
Till they were passed over. So they walked through the river. They didn't get on no boats. They didn't go down to the Horn and get in the Indian Ocean and come around the Horn of Africa and then go all the way. They didn't do that. That's not what this is saying, but this is what we were taught. And this crystal clear showing you that that didn't happen. Go ahead.
For the Most High did show them signs, showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country.
For to that country.
For through that country.
So this is the little word right here that got everybody messed up. It says for through that country. There was a great way to go, namely a year and a half. They say, see, it took a year and a half to get to the country. To the country. It's telling us for through the country. It's a big difference between to and through. For through the country, there was a great way to go, namely a year and a half. So just imagine our people was on boats for a year and a half, floating. That don't make no sense. They actually walked to where they were going. And we know it took us 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. How slow we are. Go ahead, pick that up again.
For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. And the same region is called Arsareth.
Arsareth. In your KJV 1611, because they say that Arsareth is America. Hidden land. Right? Arsareth. Let's see what the 1611 says about Arsareth.
So that's America. Right?
Yep. According to the chart, this is America.
Arsareth or Ararat.
Ararat. So it's Arsareth or Ararat. If you look up Ararat, it's going to take you to where?
Turkey.
It takes you to Turkey. So they actually walked through this thing and they went to Turkey. Now the significance with Turkey is Noah's Ark landed there. The 7 congregations is there. Satan's seat is there. The original Quran is there. So it's a lot of stuff that's actually going on in Turkey. And this is where the men, Noah's sons, actually were dispersed from Turkey. But a lot of people don't see this connection. So let's go into the Josephus right quick. Josie right here. You know where I'm going, right? I think it's book 11, Antiquities 11 and 5. 11 and 5. Paragraph 2. So it said that this place is really a corruption of the word Ararat. Asareth is really Aret, which is in Turkey. Oh, paragraph 2. All right, go ahead.
All right, this is Antiquities of the Jews, book 11, chapter 5, and section 2. When Esdras had received this epistle, he was very joyful and began to worship the Most High and confessed that he had been the cause of the king's great favor to him and that for the same reason he gave all thanks to the Most High. So he read the epistle at Babylon to those Jews that were there, but he kept the epistle itself and sent a copy of it to all those of his own nation that were in Media. And when these Jews had understood the piety the king had towards the Most High, and what kindness he had for Esdras, they were all greatly pleased. Nay, many of them took their effects with them, and came to Babylon, a very desirous of going down to Jerusalem. But then the entire body of the people of Israel remained in that country. Wherefore, there are but 2 tribes in Asia, and Europe, subject to the Romans.
Go ahead.
While the 10 tribes are beyond the Euphrates till now.
Where?
Are beyond the Euphrates till now.
It says that the 10 tribes are beyond the Euphrates. When you look up a map, it'll show you beyond means on the other side. The other side of the Euphrates is, guess what?
Turkey.
It's Turkey. He's telling you exactly where they were. They didn't come to America and get on boats. They went to Turkey. But I know y'all say, well, how can that be the new world? Because people was over there, not in that region. Let's prove it. Matter of fact, go ahead.
Subject to the Romans, while the 10 tribes are beyond the Euphrates till now, and are an immense multitude, and not to be estimated by numbers. Now there came a great number of priests and Levites and porters and sacred singers and sacred servants to Esdras, so he gathered those that were in captivity together beyond the Euphrates and stayed there 3 days, and ordained a fast for them, that they might make their prayers to the Most High for their preservation, and they might suffer no misfortunes by the way, either from their enemies or from any other ill accident. For Esdras had said beforehand, and he had told the king how the Most High would preserve them, and so he had not fit to request that he would send horsemen to conduct them.
So he was on a horse riding to where they were at. He didn't have to get on a boat and come to America to get to where they were at. All right, so keep that in mind. Go ahead.
So when they had finished their prayers, they removed from the Euphrates on the 12th day of the first month of the 7th year of the reign of Xerxes, and came to Jerusalem in the 5th month of the same year.
So right here is showing you that they was on a horse to get to the 10 tribes right there, and we know that they were in Turkey. Now we finna go because they says that Columbus used the Apocrypha in order to get to America where the tribes was at. Go ahead, read this. This is called Columbus and the Jews.
Columbus and the Jews. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and his interpreter was a Jew whose name was Lou. And that is true.
Go ahead.
Indeed, it is true. Louis de Torres was not the only Jew who sailed with Columbus on the 3rd of August that year. Columbus' navigator and his doctor were also Jews.
Now notice, it's calling them Jews. Read.
All 3 and 2 more were Jews who underwent formal conversion to Christianity one day before the voyage began, but were nevertheless viewed as Jews both by other Jews and by the Spanish Christians.
Go ahead.
Who called Jews converts to Christianity Marinos, meaning swine.
Go ahead.
Columbus included de Torres because de Torres spoke Hebrew.
Because he spoke what?
Spoke Hebrew.
Because he spoke Hebrew. Read.
Columbus evidently believed or wanted to believe that he would meet Hebrew-speaking Jews on reaching the other side of the world.
So he took a Hebrew interpreter with him because he anticipating running into somebody. Read.
Columbus believed that he would find the 10 lost tribes of Israel.
10 what?
10 lost tribes of Israel.
He's looking for intentionally the 10 lost tribes of Israel. Read.
And hence thought he would need a Hebrew speaker. It should be noted the voyage of Columbus was financed by 2 Jews, i.e.
Now notice, it's calling them Jews, but they looking for the 10 lost tribes of Israel. Read.
Louis de Santiago, Chancellor of the royal household of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, and Gabriel Sanchez, Treasurer of Aragon, both conversos, of course.
All right, we're gonna pick this up. So we're gonna go into his interpreter.
You want to read this first before we call the turkey?
Go ahead.
It says, when De Torres landed on Hispaniola, he saw a bird which he thought was a peacock and named it Tucky.
So I named it what?
Tucky.
Tucky. Right?
The Hebrew word for that animal. We therefore call it turkey.
Call it a what?
Turkey.
So that's how the turkey got its name. That's just one to grow on. But go ahead. Pick this Luis del Toro up. Or Torres. This is his interpreter. Yep, pick it up from right there.
Louis de Torres was employed by Christopher Columbus as an interpreter on his first voyage to the New World.
To the where?
To the New World.
So Columbus is intending to go to the New World. Remember, second Esdras said that they go into a place where never mankind dwelt. His intention is to come to the New World. Read.
Prior to this, De Torres held a position with Juan Chacon.
And we know he's looking for the 10 lost tribes in the New World. Read.
Governor of Murcia, province where the large number of Jews, as a Hebrew interpreter, because he was Jewish, and this was during the time of the Inquisition, it was necessary for him to convert to Catholicism, which he did. The day before the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria set sail on August 2nd, 1492. The voyage also coincided with the expulsion of all Jews from Spain.
From where?
From Spain.
Go ahead.
Because he was versed in Hebrew, Aramaic, Spanish, Portuguese, French, Latin, and some Arabic. Columbus had thought that he would be helpful upon their arrival. Especially useful would be his knowledge of Hebrew and Aramaic, as Columbus fully expected to encounter Asian descendants of the last tribes of Israel.
Of who?
The last tribes of Israel.
Now remember, he's going to the New World. He's looking for the 10 lost tribes of Israel. This is his purpose. Read.
After reaching Cuba.
After reaching where?
After reaching Cuba.
After reaching Cuba. Read.
Columbus, believing they had arrived in Asia.
In where?
In Asia.
So they got lost. They actually thought that they was going to Asia, which is where's Turkey at. So he knew where they was actually at. If you want to use this, he knew exactly where they was at. They got lost and came to Cuba. But he thought that they was in Asia.
Bang.
Bang. Let's see. Let's see.
They smoking that hookah.
Let's see why he thought he was in Asia, going where the 10 tribes was at. Let's get Revelations 1 and 11. So Columbus was in Cuba, but he thought that he was in Asia, looking for the 10 lost tribes. Revelations 1 and 11.
Revelations 1 and 11. Say, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. And what? And what you see, write in a book, and send it unto the 7 churches which are in Asia.
Which are where?
Which are in Asia.
Which are in Asia. Read.
Unto Ephesus, and unto Smyrna, and unto Pergamos, and unto Thyatira, and unto Sardis, and unto Philadelphia, and unto Laodicea. And I turned to see the voice that spake with me, And being turned, I saw 7 golden candlesticks.
So right here we see that the 7 congregations is in Asia because Columbus knew exactly where they was at. He made a mistake and went to Cuba.
Exactly.
It wasn't on purpose. He was actually going, trying to find them because he knew exactly where they really was at. So now that we know that they at, let's go to Matthew 10 and 5. Matthew 10 and 5.
The book of Matthew, chapter 10 and verse 5. And these 12, Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter you not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Go where?
To the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
He said, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now remember, at this time, Judah, the southern kingdom, is still in the land, right? So he specifically says, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now, where did Paul go? He went to Rome. He went to Corinthians. He went to Galatia. He went to Ephesians, the Philippians, Colossians, and Thessalonians. All of these places are where? In Asia and Turkey, all up in there, like Europe area, which is where they went. Where did Peter go? Let's get 1 Peter. First Peter 1 and 1. First Peter 1 and 1.
1 Peter chapter 1 and verse 1. Peter, an apostle of Yahushua HaMashiach, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus.
Throughout where?
Pontus.
Go ahead.
Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia, elect according to the foreknowledge of the Most High.
So it shows Peter went to these same places, which is all in around Turkey. And he told them to go to these people. So we should be seeing them coming to America or something if they was actually over here. Let's get Ezekiel 34 and pick it up at verse 5. So when our people got somewhere, they didn't stay put. Ezekiel 34 and pick it up at verse 5.
Ezekiel 34 and verse 5. And they were scattered, because there is no shepherd, and they became meat to all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. My sheep wandered through all the mountains.
They did what?
My sheep wandered through all the mountains.
My sheep wandered through all the mountains. Go ahead.
And upon every high hill. Yea, my flock was scattered upon all the face of the earth, and none did search or seek after them.
Now read that verse again.
My sheep wandered through all the mountains.
All the kingdoms. Mountain stands for kingdom. Go ahead.
And upon every high hill. Yea, my flock was scattered upon all the face of the earth.
Where at?
Upon all the face of the earth.
All the face of the earth. Not just the western hemisphere. Read.
And none did search or seek after them.
Hosea 9 and 16. Almost done. Hosea 9 and 16.
Hosea chapter 9 and verse 16. Ephraim is smitten. Their root is dried up.
So Ephraim is the head of the northern kingdom. So it's talking about all of them. Go ahead.
Their root is dried up. They shall bear no fruit. Yea, though they bring forth Yet will I slay even the beloved fruit of their womb.
Go ahead.
My power will cast them away.
Will do what?
Will cast them away.
Go ahead.
Because they did not listen unto him, and they shall be wanderers among the nations.
They're going to be what?
Wanderers among the nations.
They're going to be wanderers among the nations, so they don't get somewhere and just stay. They keep moving. This is what it's telling us. So how can you pick a place and say that they are right there? Don't make no sense. All right, let's handle this cake and the bird. Hosea. Hosea 7. Pick it up at verse 1.
Hosea 7:1. When I would have healed Israel, then the iniquity of Ephraim was discovered, and the wickedness of Samaria, for they commit falsehood, and the thief comes in, and the troop of the robbers spoil without.
Go ahead.
And they consider not in their hearts that I remember all their wickedness. Now their own doings have beset them about. They are before my face. They make the king glad with their wickedness, and the princes with their lies. They are all adulterers, as an oven heated by a baker.
So it says they are all adulterers, as an oven heated by the baker. Go ahead.
Who ceases from raising after he have kneaded the dough until it be leavened.
Until it be what?
Until it be leavened.
So the best way to be is to be unleavened, right? So he comparing this to sin. This dough or cake, he comparing it with sin. Read.
And in the day of our king, the princes have made him sick with bottles of wine. He stretched out his hand with scorners.
Go ahead.
For they have made ready their heart like an oven.
So they made ready their heart like an oven. Go ahead.
Whilst they lie in wait. Their baker sleeps all night. In the morning it burns as a flaming fire.
So it burns as a flaming fire all night. Go ahead.
They are all hot as an oven.
They what?
They are all hot as an oven.
Go ahead.
And have devoured their judges. All their kings are fallen. There is none among them that calls unto me. Ephraim have mixed himself among the people.
He did what?
Have mixed himself among the people.
So right here they say Ephraim have mixed himself among the people. So this is where they say how Ephraim and the rest of the tribes got quote unquote light skin and all of this stuff, right? So it says he mixed himself among the people, not with the people, but among them. It's a difference. Go ahead.
Ephraim is a cake not turned.
So Ephraim is a cake not turned. This means that Ephraim, on one side, it would be burned up to a crisp, and on the other side, it would be dough, right? What could you do with this cake? Nothing. Is ruined, right? You would get rid of it. That's what it's actually talking about. It has nothing to do with the color of it. It's showing you that it's good for nothing. He gets rid of it, cast it out. That's exactly what he did with the northern kingdom. He divorced them and moved them away from them. Go ahead, let's keep reading.
Strangers have devoured his strength, and he knows it not. Yea, gray hairs are here and there upon him, yet he knows not. The pride of Israel testified to his face, and they do not return to Yahuwah their power, nor seek him for all this.
Go ahead.
Ephraim is also like a silly dove.
But let's say, for instance, that it does mean to intermingle and pollute the seed. Let's say, for instance, that it does mean what they say it means. Read.
Ephraim also is like a silly dove, without heart. They call to Egypt as they call to Egypt. They go to Assyria.
They go to where?
Assyria.
So it just mentioned Egypt and Assyria. What color were these two nations?
Black.
Black people, right? So even if you go and spin it like you're trying to spin it, that they intermingled with them, they still would have intermingled with who?
Black people.
Black people. So it's still going to get you on every angle that you're trying to go because you're making stuff up.
as you go.
Let's get Jeremiah chapter 12. Exactly. Too easy.
What do you say?
Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 7. We got to handle the speckled bird. Jeremiah 12, and let's pick it up at verse 7.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 12 and verse 7. I have forsaken my house. I have left my heritage. I have given the dearly beloved of my soul into the hand of her enemies.
Go ahead.
My heritage is unto me as a lion in the forest.
So now he says, my heritage is unto me as a lion in the forest. Well, I never seen him break this verse down. My heritage is unto me as a lion in the forest. Go ahead.
It cries out against me. Therefore have I hated it.
So this lion is like that lion that's talking about in Peter. It's against him now. But it's a roaring lion that's actually in opposition of the Most High. So he says, I have hated it. Go ahead.
Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird.
As a speckled bird. Anybody know what a speckled bird is? Or have seen a speckled bird? It's them little birds that be everywhere. The little brown bird. That's when you pull up a speckled bird, it's one of them real little birds. Go ahead.
My heritage is unto me as a speckled bird.
A little weak bird. Read.
The birds round about are against her. Come you, assemble, all the beasts of the field, come to devour.
So the speckled bird is a weak bird that's around vicious birds. Because these birds hate it. Let's see what it's talking about. Hold that. Let's get Revelations 18 and 2. Because it says, my heritage is unto me a speckled bird, that the birds round about are against her. We know that the round about means surrounding people. Go ahead,
Revelations chapter 18 and verse 2. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
Every unclean and hateful bird is talking about them surrounding nations. That's exactly what it's talking about. The surrounding nations. It has nothing to do with the color of the bird, but that it's a little weak bird that's among vicious birds. Last script, Amos 9 and 7. And we got one more thing from this historical joint, and that'll be it. Amos 9 and 7.
The book of Amos, chapter 9 and verse 7. Are you not as the children of the Ethiopians?
Are ye not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me?
O children of Israel?
So, what color are the Ethiopians? What color? They dark, right? So he says, are ye not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me? So he's showing you exactly how the children of Israel should look. Read it from the top again.
Are you not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel? Saith Yahuwah, have I not brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Caphtor, and the Syrians from Ker?
So right here, he just gave you how the children of Israel should look. They should look something like the Ethiopians. But according to the chart and all that, everybody got took to these certain places. So that would have been a nice thing of the slave master, right? That if you could make sure you get him and all his brothers because they want to stay with each other. That would have been a nice thing, right? Y'all don't leave out the little one because we gonna keep the family together. But we know better than that. Read that.
Slavery and the making of America. When Africans were taken from their homes.
When they were what?
Taken from their homes.
When they were taken from their homes, according to them, if it was a whole tribe of Levites, they said, "Oh, y'all going to Haiti, you going to Guatemala, you going here, you going there." But let's see.
When Africans were taken from their homes and forced into slavery, they were separated from their mothers.
They were what?
Separated from their mothers.
They were separated from their mothers, and who else?
Fathers.
And who else?
Sisters.
Who else?
And brothers.
Who else?
And were torn from the extensive kinship network.
So they purposely, if you was with somebody that spoke the same language as you, same tribe as you, your family, they deliberately sent you somewhere else. So how in the world can we come along and say all of Judah is in America, all of these people is in Haiti? We can't say that because it's telling us right here that they purposely separated you. So you actually are spread out all over the world, not just the Western Hemisphere. And guess what? There is no registry. We don't know what tribe we from. It would be nice to be from Judah, but if you go out and tell that, you telling a lie because you don't know. He say he is a car. He can read the stars and the moon and everything.
And he a little light skin.
Right, and he light skin. And good hair, right. So it's showing you right here that there is no way that you can know. Through the scriptures keep telling us that he spread you to the four corners and the tribes were wandering. They didn't go somewhere and just stop. So you can go and look at them, the Igbo tribes and all of them different ones, and it'll show you how they started here. Then they migrated. Then they kept migrating. And they kept migrating until finally they got somewhere. They didn't just stop. So according to this, that 12 tribe chart is pure. I'll let somebody else say it. Say it again. Say it.
BS.
That's exactly what it is. It's toilet paper. It's made up from a dream. Right. This is garbage. Right. I know y'all gonna be mad, but I can't. It's the truth. This is a lie.
Absolutely.
We don't stand for no lie, and this chart is a lie. I ain't trying to separate Israel and none of that, but this chart is a flat out lie. It don't give you no location. This stuff is a lie.
Straight up.
Flat out. So get your statistics right quick. Last things.
Well, this right here shows how broad the slave trade was, right?
Because they say the reason why we made the chart, I don't know why they try to take credit. The reason we made the chart is because most of us are in America. Well, you didn't make nothing to do. Ariana made the chart. You just following it. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
It says the lifespan of slavery varied from one continent to the other. Africa's domestic slavery was fueled by demands for slaves to work in plantation, mines, in America, North Africa, the Middle East, the Persian Gulf, Southeast Asia, including China and Japan. Some African kings became active suppliers in Africans as slaves to international European and Arab slave merchants. So this show you that slavery didn't just come over here, right? But for those that did come over here, let's see how many of us actually came to America.
Let's see if the most came to the Americas as they teach?
It says the most comprehensive analysis of shipping records over the course of the slave trade is the Transatlantic Slave Database, right? It says between 1525 and 1866, the entire history of slave trade to the New World, according to the Transatlantic Slave Trade Database, 12.5 million African Americans were shipped to the New World. 10.7 million survived the Middle Passage, disembarking in North America, the Caribbean, and South America. And how many of these 10.7 million Africans were shipped directly to North America? Only about 500,000. Now, I give you
what?
500,000. Out of 10.7 million, only about 500,000 came to North America.
But they say that the most of us came here. So the chart is reflecting of that. You see, that's a lie.
Now this is the trans-Saharan slave trade, the one that we was talking about a couple weeks back. Now this said that in the transatlantic, 12.7 million was shipped over here. 10.7 million made it. 500,000 of us actually got into North America, right? Others were placed in Brazil, places like that, whatever, right? So now in the trans-Saharan slave trade, which is still going on to this day, when it started, it says they estimate that close to 18 million people were enslaved between 800 and the 1900s, right? They were sold, they were captured, brought, and sold, and forcibly dislocated from their homeland to serve the Arab elites.
To serve who?
The Arab elites.
Arab elites, the one that nobody seemed to know nothing about. Read.
Throughout the Middle East, North Africa, and various domestic and military captivities, right?
So this looked like all over the world. The transatlantic brought a lot of us over here, but this slavery right here was 18 million. It was more over there, according to this.
So the Arabs were in cahoots. Well, they traded with a lot of people, right? So I don't know. Have anybody ever heard of the Indian Ocean slave trade? You heard of that, right? So with the Indian Ocean slave trade, not only do we have the Americas, to those parts of Africa, all these places, right? Now through the Indian Ocean, we went to the Madagascar. We went to Mozambique. We were trying we went to Tanzania, Kenya, Somalia, Ethiopia, Yemen, Oman, Pakistan, India. We're everywhere. There is no way in the world for them to only have a chart that's based on this side of the world when we've been traded throughout the four corners.
Just like the scripture says, to the four corners of the globe. So you see other people that's of a lighter complexion, and you say these are our brothers, and then when they show our people on the other side of the world, you yell at them and call them stinking Africans. You them Hamites. He looked just like you. So when we was in Egypt, who did they commonly mistake us for? Nigerians, which is where a whole bunch of people that the Muslims is killing up right now. Boko Haram, I think that's what it's called. Killing up a gang of our people. So with that, we see that that chart is 100% false. Get it out of here.
I wanna say something too on that chart thing. Like The reason why it's so detrimental to the people is because when you first come into this truth, and that's what you see, that's like something that you can put your hands on and say, oh, I'm a part of this, right? So it don't become about keeping the commandments of the Most High. It's just about you being a part of Israel. You know what I'm saying? So my Ak posed the question: if you found out that you wasn't Israel, would you still serve? People were pissed off because a lot of people couldn't handle that. You know what I'm saying? Whether you Jew or Gentile, your obligation is to the word in order to get salvation at the end of the day. So this chart has given people a false sense of hope that they gonna be saved. Because again, they teach, you got some that teach all of Israel is gonna be saved. Only Israel is gonna be saved. Both of those are lies. You know what I'm saying? You can be wicked as all outdoor and bear the name of our forefather Jacob and be cast in the hell. You know what I'm saying? You can also be a Gentile and keep the commandments and be saved. This chart has been horrible, not just for the children of Israel, but also for the Gentiles. So we got to get this up out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So with that, any questions? Go ahead.
Okay, it's one book I came across, Lost Tribe of Promised Land, and Montezino, I know the story. When he went inland and he came across an Indian woman speaking the Hebrew Credo, and she said that she had relatives that were on other islands. Now, I was just, I'm new to your class, and it just, I've been doing things on my own and whatever. But when did they, ones that Montezino met, when did they leave from this side and come to this side?
Basically, what he's showing you is that Columbus, when he got over here, he made a mistake and got here. So the people that he encountered, he thought was what?
The 12 tribes.
The 12 tribes. The 10 tribes.
Right.
So that's what they really still was going with. It's another cat by the name of Manasseh ben Israel. He the one that really made this stuff up. So this don't really come from that dude's dream. I believe he didn't have no dream. He got this and he put it out there as if it came from him, and it was hot, and he got all these people following him. And oh man, he had a dream, bro. He a prophet of the Most High. And right to this day, this stuff came out in the 70s. It's people right now still wholeheartedly following this doctrine.
You said the chart was the chart we speaking about right now. Right.
Exactly.
Then understand that in that book, Lost Tribes in the Promised Land, in that same passage, don't it say that this was propaganda?
Yes, that's the part of it. I seen one of the dudes reading it, and he got to the part where it says, and Montezino, and this is a bit of a fairy tale. Well, I'll stop right there. He didn't want to keep reading because it was going to actually kill his doctrine.
Right.
And then he said in that same book that he thanked God that he wasn't a Negro. You know what I'm saying? So even in the same books, because these scriptures make it crystal clear where these people really went and where they are to the four corners of the globe. It's a complete lie, man.
And then on top of that, you did have people that was coming back and forth.
Right, it was.
Right.
Before,
way before Christopher Columbus.
Yeah, before he was, yeah.
And that's how they found certain artifacts and stuff in, pretty much all around. But like in Central America, that, they find pyramids and stuff that's just like the ones in Egypt. Certain obelisks that they had, because the people was coming back and forth the whole time. Ships they didn't just start building ships when Columbus came.
They didn't say Joseph even came. They came and made it to Colorado, and he left artifacts behind.
But I know that ships wasn't new.
No,
you know what I mean. If you believe these scriptures that they built a ship to the point where it could handle all of those animals way back in Genesis. Way back in Genesis, they built a ship they was able to withstand the flood and handle all of those animals, then how could you not believe that they don't have a ship that could cross over the Atlantic Ocean?
Go ahead.
All right, my understanding is that the 10 tribes were given the freedom to wander, and that the slave trade only happened with the tribes under Judah.
It's showing you that it was all scattered, especially with Simeon and Levi, because they were all through all of them. But it's like I said, we know. Matter of fact, I forgot to get that script. Get it, Isaiah 11.
Can't forget this.
Isaiah 11. Isaiah 11 and 11.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 11 and verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day,
And what day?
in that day,
Go ahead.
that Yahuwah shall set his hand again, the second time, to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, from Egypt,
From where?
from Egypt.
This is the scripture that convinced us that we needed to go to Egypt. And me and your big homie right here, we packed our families and took them on a long ride and went to the other side of the world trying to flee the destruction. This scripture right here is one of the key ones. See, he ain't gonna get you from nowhere else. He gonna get you from over here. So you want to be close to the land as possible. Shorten the Most High's arm. Read.
And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahuwah shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria,
Go ahead.
from Egypt, from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar,
And from where?
from Shinar,
Babylon, the original one. Read.
and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea.
So he just told you, he named off all of these places where the children of Israel are at. Go ahead.
And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel.
Of who?
Of Israel.
He just let us know the verse before where they was actually at. From Pathros, Cush, Egypt, all of these different places. Read.
And gather together the dispersed
The
of
what?
the dispersed
The dispersed of who?
of Judah
From where?
from the four corners of the earth.
From the four corners. So he let you know directly that Judah, in particular, the southern kingdom, which we know the Levites and Simeon also was a part of that, to the four corners of the globe. So primarily, the northern kingdom is really pretty much over there in the Middle East, in Europe, and quote unquote Africa. A lot of them are right up in there, and yes, some of them are over here as well. So, what you got?
Read it. Keep reading.
Go ahead.
The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim.
So, how does that take place? He says,
You
read that
dirty
last
African.
part again.
Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim.
So the people in Africa, our people are over in Africa, they watching stuff on TV, and they seeing us with the basketball players and the entertainers, and it looked like Judah is, the southern kingdom is doing it. This makes them what? Envious or jealous. And then over here, we looking at them as if, like they say, y'all dirty, stinking African booty scratchers. All of this stuff that they've been putting on the people on that other side of the world, calling them this, and it's vexing them. Then they have known who they are for years. All of a sudden, in the 60s and the 70s, a group pops up and makes a chart. They know who they are for years and say, y'all ain't included in it. How does that make them feel? They vexed. Because I done talked about 3 of them, and they all say the same thing. We hate American Israelites. because they don't include us. They call us Hamites.
Right.
That's how it's being vexed. Did you finish that? Go
But
ahead.
they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines towards the west. They shall spoil them of the east together, and they shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. And Yahuwah shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the 7 streams,
7 streams.
and make men go over dry
Do
shod.
what?
Make men go over dry shod.
Go over dry shod. He held still the flood, and they went to the narrow passages of the Euphrates. So right here he's talking about the same thing.
Well, that's the prophecy after when the Mashiach come back.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it say we're gonna cross over on dry shod, right? Meaning shoes gonna be dry because the water gonna be held still. Now this is going back to 2nd Esdras 13, and I'm gonna keep reading from where we stopped earlier. Verse 47. And the highest shall stay still, shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore sawest you the multitude with peace. But those that be left behind of your people are they that are found within my borders. So what this what it's talking about in Isaiah 11 go right with this with the vision that Esdras had when he saw the 10 tribes of the northern kingdom. He telling them these are the 10 tribes that went beyond the Euphrates. But this same 10 tribes is gonna come back when I stay still the springs again, and they shall cross over on dry shod. It's the same thing. It's the same encounter that's here and there.